Okay, good evening. Welcome to, I'm going to ditch those. Good evening. Welcome to tonight's After the Buzzer. My name is Keith Schertz. I'm here at Hive State Hockey. I am a former play-by-play man for the Brigham Young University Cougar hockey team. And if you know anything about BYU hockey, you know that then I must be accustomed to watching lots of bad hockey. So nothing different here watching the Utah Hockey Club. And I also did it for Utah Valley University. If it's your first time here with us, welcome. If you're back again, congratulations on exceedingly fine taste. I want to just start off with a little bit of, just a brief little, kind of conversation about where we're at. This team is 19 games into the season, and they are not playing very well right now. They are playing pretty bad, and it has been rough to watch the team over this period of time. So one of the things that I got thinking about with this team that's really important, and it's a really important piece of all this, is that when you statistically take a look at the team, and if you look at all the advanced stats and then you try to reason out what's going in, if you understand what you're looking at and are thinking about it critically, I think that it would be hard to make any sort of claim that there's a part of where the Utah Hockey Club is playing where you would feel very confident about the fact that they're good at this or they have this solved. Like, Vejmelka's had a good performance tonight. He did very well for the Utah Hockey Club. He made 30 saves. He was incredibly solid. And when you get a goalie who plays that well, like, you got to cash in on points. You just have to cash in on points against a Boston team who, I got to tell you, they stink. They're not good. This is not a good Boston Bruins team. If you look at all the numbers and everything, like, everywhere the Utah Hockey Club measures out, you'll see the Boston Bruins right next to them. They are not playing particularly good hockey. They fired their coach. They didn't have any more patience for what's going on there. Clearly, at 7-9-3, Utah Hockey Club is continuing to hang in there with Andre Tourné. And I get that there are different levels of what each franchise is trying to accomplish at this time. However, that was disheartening, to say the least, to watch them struggle to the level that they struggle. So, look, I do think that Tourné probably deserves to be looked at more seriously in what we're accomplishing, because they're not scoring enough goals and they're not stopping enough goals. It's that simple from that level. They're losing when it's 5-on-5. They're losing when they are on the power play. They have the 30th power play in the NHL. It's horrific. It's horrific. There's only one idea on that power play right now. One. And, we've watched it for 19 games. What other ideas do they have? Not only that, they've watched Nick Schmaltz just stink up the joint. I mean, he has scored as many goals for the Utah Hockey Club as everyone else that's watching this. He's had a lot more shots and a lot more ice time, too. I get it. Sometimes the puck luck isn't there and it doesn't go in. But after a certain amount of time, and I also recognize that he's got a lot of assists. So, he's got 13 assists this year. So, that's great. I'm glad that he's making assists, but only 3 of them have come on the power play. That being said, there's not that many assists to be had on the power play. But my thing is I don't know. Like, why not mix up the power plays? Like, they have gone with the same group. Like, the one person that they changed was Lawson Krause and turned that into, Alex Kerfoot. Like, on that power play one, they're rolling with Alex Kerfoot out there. And I need to understand, what are the adjustments that are being made to fix that? And on the second power play, they're running out the same group there. There's no adjustments about how they want to go. They give the first 90 seconds to the first power play attack, and when they do get possession, they are just happy to pass it around the umbrella. Occasionally work it down low to Kerfoot. Almost never go to the bumper spot, but if they do, it doesn't matter because, Schmaltz isn't going to finish. Not going to bury the shot. Nick Schmaltz? No shot at that, right? So I think it's an important thing for us to kind of ponder and think about as we go through this season. We are a quarter of the way through the season. Are the youth getting better? Do you think that the players are improving on the ice? It seems to me like there's just a lack of ideas, or like an endless commitment to, like, this should work. This should work. So we're going to stick with it because it should be working, instead of it's not working. Let's try something else. It's really disappointing to watch, because they have guys. They have guys and they have kids that can come along, and I know that they're going to be inconsistent, but it is not a great spot for the Utah Hockey Club to be in. When you're 30th in league on the power play, you're losing when you're on the power play, you're losing when you're in 5-on-5, you're losing on the penalty kill, you're 26th in the NHL in the penalty kill. You're taking the 29th most shots in the league. Only one team who's played less game is lower than the Utah Hockey Club. So that would mean that, there's a very good chance that if they play one more game, that will probably come up to the next level. And then if you take a look at how many shots are being taken against them, it's 21st, but they're getting outshot in every single game. But if the shots against them is relatively low, the shots that they're taking are relatively low, this team is playing such a slow pace of play. The other part of it is that there's this overall problem that I have with teams that play winning hockey. Forecheck. They forecheck. Nobody has ever lifted the cup without being a good forechecking team. It's never happened. This team comes across the blue line, and then they try to do a cross-ice pass within 3 feet of the blue line. It is almost never getting completed. The idea is that the other guy skating in hard could come on to the end of it, but then he's got to get to the net still and take a shot. So they're not getting anywhere with that. I don't know what the conversation is with the players about that pass, about coming into the zone and making a cross-ice pass immediately after you get across the blue line. That should be an exception move, not the main look, the main idea, the main thing that we're going to do as we get into the offensive zone. So it is one of those things that I think is going to be interesting to observe as we go along throughout this year, because the thing is if they're not going to be good at 5-on-5, on the power play, on the penalty kill, Okay, if they haven't scored with an empty net, they're not good in any situation. If they're not going to be good in any of those situations, I can live with that. And we can lose a ton. If it means that, man, like we are getting closer because Logan Cooley is getting to do things on the ice right now that are just going to pay dividends down the road. Dylan Guenther is going to have opportunities and things that happen for him on the ice that are going to give us dividends down the road. The only down the road guy that we're having so far this season is Michael Kesselring. He's taken a step forward. He's getting better with each game, measurably better. And, you know, I think that Clayton Keller, I think that Logan Cooley has played a lot better this year compared to the previous season in terms of his defensive ability, in terms of what he's doing on the faceoff dot. I think it's unquestioned that he's gotten better in those places of the ice. But he is he's not doing well. Let me look up something real quick. So as you take a look at this, one of the things that I think is important for us to take a look at as we go through this, I brought this up the other day, but I just think that this is the other part, just to show, like, when I say they're not good in all the areas, like, they're not good in all the areas. Not only that, like, for a team where you putting your hat on and saying, like, well, we've been drafting guys with high-end talent. We've been drafting players who can put in the work and could do the job of getting, you know, pucks in the net. Let's take a look at the shots and how that looks. Okay, so as you can see, that to me is the biggest thing that is telling for the Utah Hockey Club. First of all, like I outlined, they are already the 29th team in shots taken. They are not getting enough shots. They're not taking enough shots on goal. They are terrible when it comes to getting shots on goal. 30th in the NHL. Okay? And last I checked, you know, the Wayne Gretzky of it all, right? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So, look, in terms of getting the puck in the back of the net, 3.85% of their shots go into the back of the net. It's 21st in the NHL. 38.11 of their shots get to the net. So when we're talking about the kind of looks that you're getting that get onto the goal and the goalie has to make a save, when you take a look at that scenario, the Utah Hockey Club is the worst team in the NHL at getting shots on goal. The worst. They're the worst team in the NHL at it. It's a big deal. How about accuracy, right? Missing the net. So, hey, you don't get it blocked, okay? They're real bad in terms of how many of their shots end up missing the net. Over a quarter of their shots miss the net. That is the 28th least accurate team in the NHL. And then in terms of shots that are getting blocked, it's 32 blocked shots, 32% blocked shots. So that is 30th in the NHL. Only two teams are worse than the Utah Hockey Club as it relates to this. And I think it's important for you to just, as you pay attention, as you think about what they're doing, if the assets of the team are there to get the puck to the net and give you an opportunity to score, if that is like the main thing that we're confident, at least we have that. If that is true, and we're totally sure that that is true, it is obvious that the systems of Coach Andre Tourigny are not doing the job. They're not doing the job. they've got to make adjustments. I don't know if it's pairings. I don't know if it's saying no more no more pinching. I don't know if they're going to have to change the different things that they take a look at. But I do know that whatever it is that they think they've got right now, whatever the plan was entering the season, 20 games in, that plan is not working. You've got a young, athletic, fast team, and you're playing with one of the slowest pace of play in the entire NHL. Like, Boston's not good either. Like, they are quite bad. I mean, they've got the same thing. They've got lots of quality guys. They've got guys that can put the puck in the net, who've proven to be scorers over the year, and there's no question that they've got some skill and ability and more top-end guys than what's going on in Utah. Both of these teams are taking shots from the outside. They are not getting to the net. They are not finding ways of finishing the shots that they're getting. And Boston is way further ahead in terms of expected goals. They should have scored way more goals. They've had a lot of bad luck, and they're just missing the net a lot. But in terms of what would typically be the case, Boston would be playing better. I just don't see that. The expected goals margin for the Utah Hockey Club is just not there. It's just not there. You just cannot convince me that they are close to being in a place where they're going to turn a corner. And again, I'm not convinced at this point that the youth is being developed. The youth needs to be developed in a strong enough way for the Utah Hockey Club to continue to decide that this is the right path for this team. They're going to go to Pittsburgh next. That is going to be a difficult game. Pittsburgh is not great, but every team is difficult. They're going to go to Toronto, and then they're going to finish it out with Montreal. And again, like I brought up, well, there'll be more to talk about that, but the Utah Hockey Club has not won any of their last game of the road trips yet. There's this anxiousness to get back home. It happens to a lot of the NHL teams, all pro sports. There's this thing where you're on the road, and when it's time to come back home, that last road game tends to be a shut it down, let's get back home and see our families. So I'm not hopeful for that Montreal game, although that's probably the easiest of the rest of the games on this road trip. This Boston game was really the one that they could have gotten. It was sort of the either way. Both teams are not playing well. Both teams are very similar in terms of what they've accomplished to this point of the season. And then the other part that, again, like the shame of it is that they got a really great performance from Vejmelka. Like, Vejmelka put in really quality goalkeeping tonight. When you get 30 saves on 31 shots, you should win those games. And the fact that they did not win the game, that's enough to make it clear about how they played everywhere else on the ice. And so that's where they're at. I don't know that there's a whole lot more to say about where they are at this time, other than I think it's time to begin the process of thinking about, this team is they're 7-9-3. They can potentially get hot and turn around and have a better stretch of the season. Part of it is schedule. Like, we know that the schedule was going to make things more difficult earlier in the season, but that being said, like, the schedule doesn't make you the 30th best power play team in the NHL. When you have 55 shots on the man, or 55 power plays, and you only score 7 times, like, that's less to do with, oh boy, the scheduling gods did not smile on the Utah Hockey Club. On the penalty kill, same thing. To kill off, 3 out of 4 is just a number that puts you near the bottom of the league. And then again, I have a real issue with the pace of play that this team is playing at. They are just not playing at a level that gives them opportunities to do things in a way that suits the personnel that they have. So I think it's time to talk about the coach. I think it's time to talk about what are we seeing here and how do we make sure that the players develop as they go along. The other one is like, I don't know, there comes a certain point where you can't say, oh, this is going to work. Why? Well, I'm a really brilliant coach. There has to come a point where the decision has to be made, right? That we're going to change things. So God love Nick Schmaltz, but you cannot score the puck at all right now. Right? At all. So why is he always on power play 1? Why not Barrett Hayton in there instead and have him go? I mean, Nick Schmaltz at the bumper spot is kind of a ridiculous idea anyway. If you look at where Nick Schmaltz has scored throughout his career, it has always been because there's been a cross-seam pass, meaning from one side of the ice, across the middle of the ice, and to the other wing. So from one wing to the other wing, cross-seam, and Nick Schmaltz gets a chance to line that thing up and fire it on net. And he likes to shoot short side of the goalie. He likes to put the puck short side on that goalie and find a way to lift it and get him up over the shoulder and into the back of the net. He lines up blocker side typically on that left wing, but they've given that spot to Dylan Guenther. So if you think, and they're like, oh shoot, like, you know, Schmaltz has been a pretty good goal scorer, so well we got to leave him out there. But it is not working. It's just not working. So I'd love to see some frankness come. And, you know, there comes a certain point that until a player starts to put the puck in the net, we don't necessarily keep playing that player hoping that today's the day, that glorious day when we're finally going to score. One other thing, so that's me. That's what I would be thinking about. One other thing that I think is necessary to begin having, you know, a conversation about is, and maybe this is the fans' fault, but with the popularity of Liam O'Brien and how many people just seem to love him, even though he hasn't played very many games, but they remember how exciting it was when he said, you know, he can't wait to get this place buzzing. The fact that Utah Hockey Club has been in more fights than any other team in the league, like, that's weird because Liam O'Brien's not playing. And I don't really understand why every game, you know, they're just getting into this mucky it up thing. They're just not playing with their heads screwed on as well as they should. Obviously, they gave up 7 power play opportunities to Boston. And as bad as Boston's power play is, if you give them 7 shots at it, they're going to get one of them in, which they did, and that was the difference of the game. Elias Lindholm was able to put away that. But 7 penalties, right? I mean, they just played so sloppy. It's slow, so just ugly, and it's slow, and they can't score on the cycle. They could at the beginning of the year, but it's like other teams have watched tape and they have guys in their organizations who put together scouting reports, and it's almost like they have figured out what the system and desires are of the Utah Hockey Club, and they're taking away what those systems are trying to do. And as they take away those systems, there isn't any other look. There's just no other idea. We have not scored a good, like, on the cycle goal in a long time. And again, they went 0 for 7 on the power play against Washington, 0 for 4 tonight on the power play against Boston. So that's 11, at least 11 straight. I would need to look at the game before, but I think they scored because Sergachev scored on the power play in that one. But yes, On the cycle and 5-on-5, it has been a nightmare. It's been so bad. And they play with such little pace, with such little speed. And part of that is defensemen are not doing their job on breakouts. Every time we get hold of the puck, it's like all of them want to just go back behind the net and give us a chance to make a change and kind of measure it up and then wait and then get going. And, we're playing against these veteran teams who have, like Washington was on a back-to-back. Utah had a rest advantage coming in against Boston tonight, and they couldn't make either of those older teams look tired or slow. So I don't know what we're supposed to. What do you make of that? Like, what are you supposed to make of the fact that they can't make older teams who don't have a rest advantage look just as rested and just as fast on the ice? They're not taking advantage of the physical gifts that they have. They're not finding breakout passes that get them through the neutral zone. They're not going in with speed. And when they do get an opportunity, they are busy trying to overpass instead of just put the puck on net. They are not generating rush opportunities. And the thing with like Logan Cooley is that he is awesome in the neutral zone, awesome at finding space, and awesome at, in opportunities where they're on the rush. The same goes for Dylan Gunther. And those dudes are never, ever attacking on the rush. It is always this thing where we're getting in and we're not forechecking and we're just going to carry, and we're going to carry the puck in. We're going to drop it off to the guy at the blue line and let's start the cycle. It's not working. And they've got to rethink so much of the things that they're doing. They are trying the same tactics and they're getting the same results. And it's been this way for about 10 or 15 games. The one game there they played better, it was because they forechecked better. It's because they put pucks to the net. But it is just not in the character or skill set or attitude of these players that they have. They've drafted a lot of skill players, but they haven't figured out how to get fit. And so they've prioritized Matthias Michelli types, and they haven't brought in guys into their team who are tough guys who want to forecheck but can also score you a goal. That's allegedly what Lawson Krause is. But yeah. All right, that's it. That's all we're gonna do tonight. Hopefully it'll get better. They have their next contest is against the Pittsburgh Penguins, and let's see, they got the Penguins. Is that on Saturday? It is. So that's Saturday night. That game will take place against the Pittsburgh Penguins at PPG Paints Arena, and that will be an interesting game. They'll get a chance to play against Sid the Kid. Be a big one. Homecoming game for Logan Cooley, and hopefully, getting back, having a Permanente sandwich, it'll shake it all loose for him. So anyway, that's where we are. Okay, that's it. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.